All right, good morning. It's Tuesday, March 12th, Tufton Borough Board of Selectmen's meeting. Welcome everybody, and let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so let's begin with public input. Do we have any public input before we move into the agenda? All right, seeing none, let's move to review and approval of minutes. I had my public minutes. Yeah, I do. I apologize. I thought they were right here. All right. So first up is the regular meeting minutes from Monday, March 4th.
I had nothing.
I'll move we accept them as drafted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we have 3 sets of non-public minutes from that day. The first is a 9:50 a.m. meeting.
I have no additions or changes.
There we go. I'll move we accept them as drafted.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And then at 10:02 a.m. minutes.
Do you have a copy?
I do. Yep.
Lloyd, do you have your copy of the
Yes.
It might be in the confidential
Yes, I do.
folder.
Okay.
You
Yours
need to
might
see
be
it?
confidential.
No, he's got them there.
Yep. I have no changes.
I'll move we accept them as drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And finally, the 10:13 a.m.
I have no changes.
That's,
I'll move we accept them as drafted.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to appointments. First up is the library. Christy, come on down.
You have the stats there in front of you. We had a shorter month in February, 17 fewer hours than January, 2 days. Even so, our total circulation outstripped January, mainly due to use of databases, research databases, and Ancestry is one that can only be used in the library. ProQuest, Heritage Quest can be used at home as well. So that's in library use of Ancestry.com. We also issued 13 new library cards. 8 of those were for children born to Tufton Borough parents in 2018. The Friends of the Library, as you know, every year fund purchase of a picture book for every Tufton Borough child born the year before, and it comes with a book plate with their full name and date of birth. And they've been doing this for more than 20 years now. And we have to try really hard to keep those books in the library and reorder them when they fall apart, because grown-ups come in looking for their baby books now. And so it's truly a wonderful tradition. Let's see, back to the other side. Snowshoes are getting a lot more use this winter than they did last winter, for better or for worse. And there have been some interesting stories about how they're being used, so we're grateful to have them. And I've actually been invited to be part of a program at the New Hampshire Library Association conference in May to talk about how we got them and our partnership with Parks and Rec and how it works because no other library in New
Excuse
Hampshire.
me,
Don't sit on the,
please sit in the chair. Thank you. I apologize for interrupting.
Yep.
I apologize.
Morning. Apparently we're the only library in New Hampshire to circulate snowshoes. So I'm glad that they're circulating, and it's a really nice partnership with Parks and Rec. Other than that, I hope you'll have a chance to take a good look at the latest iteration. I think we're pretty much there.
you want me to hold it up and you can kind of talk about it? So it'll be on camera? I'm happy to do that.
Well,
We'll get it. Yeah.
Jeez.
We want Joe to have the full opportunity as well. Okay.
this is what we have pretty much decided what our exterior view is going to look like. The door to the right-hand side, which is now the existing door going into our now present meeting room, is indeed going to be the new entrance, main entrance to the library. The front entrance we use now will be blocked off. I'm not taking it out, but it will be blocked off. And the major feature that we've added, since a lot of people have seen these in the past, is the final look on the little bump out that we've decided on as far as windows and roof line changes. And other than that, it's the same thing that we've been looking at for quite some time. And that's about it. Not a lot of changes to our floor plan.
Yeah, you're coming.
All right. Thank you, Joe. I hope you're in tight on this so you're not getting my head in this thing.
Well, I was just gonna comment on that. I am tight on the picture. You're all set.
Context.
Of course, looking at the view from the top down into the floor plan of the building, the major feature on the right-hand side is the proposed new meeting room, which will hold approximately 80 people. Rearrangement of our stacks, change as far as the checkout desk and that sort of thing. And,
They're all
much more definition as to areas of interest. I mean, there'll be, as far as the children's section, the young adult section, more space for people to spread out, more people to work. Because as we've said all along, we're not necessarily out of room for books. We're certainly out of room for people. With that,
How many parking spaces are there?
42.
How much?
42.
42?
There's also a New Hampshire History Room, which can be used as a small meeting room, as well as the larger meeting room. And there are a couple also of small study rooms, which we don't have any place right now that people can just go and
Like
have
quiet,
quiets,
huh?
have work quietly. So that's important too.
How many spaces do we have in the current lot?
17.
17, so 17.
And 2 of them are handicap
Right,
spaces.
so we're going from 17 to 42. Super.
All set?
Yep,
Yeah, terrific.
thank you. All right,
I had a couple of
sir.
questions.
Yep.
A couple of questions and comments, all good. At one point last year, the state computer went down, and has that been corrected?
No, they're still working on procurement. They've identified the system that they're going to buy, but I guess the mills of state bureaucracy grind even slower than you might have thought.
Right.
So that still hasn't happened yet. And speaking of ILL, Wolfboro is going to be closed again for another couple of weeks at the end of this month and the beginning of April, and we will again be helping out with their interlibrary loan pickup and drop off.
That was the second thing I wanted to mention. I've heard from 2 employees down there and several people that are now using your facility. Thank you for working with Wolfboro. They appreciate it, we appreciate it.
That's true. We are issuing temporary cards to Wolfboro residents for the period of construction. And I hope that their trustees will agree to do the same for us when the time comes.
My sense is they will.
I think so.
The other thing is, and this is a topic that you and I have talked about, there's still an element out there that is convinced that books are going away. And at town meeting, if that comes up, is there someone prepared to speak on that issue?
Yes.
Okay.
My understanding is that if you look at titles in print and quantity of books in print, it continues to go up, and not at a trivial rate. So I guess what that tells us is that while some people like to use e-readers, there's still a large percentage of people that prefer looking at a real book and flipping the pages.
Well, that's what our statistics bear out locally. You know, books now circulate e-readers consistently every month. And e-reader sales nationally and internationally have actually leveled off. And publishers keep publishing print.
Anything else for the library?
So you raised another, well, so far this year, 12,000 in the building fund. $12,330.
Yes, those are pledge payments.
So that's not additional revenue?
No.
Okay, all right, great.
Okay.
We will have total up-to-date numbers for tomorrow evening.
Perfect.
I'm not real interested in changing the warrant article. I don't know what my brothers are thinking.
It won't be that different.
Well, no, but
Yeah.
just want to make sure that people will know that
It's
this
on-
much is now, these pledges have been redeemed into cash.
Yeah.
Just so they still have a breakout if anybody's
Yeah.
curious
Sure.
as to where the money is.
Yep.
And you'll have
I guess my thought process with respect to the article is if there was a substantial difference, then it may
Yeah, it may be
make sense.
worthwhile.
But if we're talking
10 or
a few $1,000s, then squeezing it down doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, the only thing I would thought.
We're only
I'm
gonna
sorry, speak.
spend what we need to spend
Exactly.
at the end of the day.
And
So,
not to exceed.
right.
All right,
All right. Thank you.
thanks.
Got a smile.
Hi, Clay. Good morning.
Vote early, vote often.
Monthly totals for February: 7 compactors, 4 construction debris, 2 plastic, got 1 scrap metal pickup. Cash revenues through the end of February approximately $12,000. General info, new stickers are in. Transfer station are orange, and they're available at the station and town office for purchase, $5. Annual training classes for all are in progress over the next 3 months, so we all maintain our licenses. Annual facility report for 2018 is completed and sent in to DES, so that's all done. Got a letter from Tamworth, which was passed along, and I've basically answered it, and you all would want to take a quick peruse of that. I've got it all set here for the stamped envelope to go if you guys approve it. Basically what they were, they have completely gone away from recycling and increased cost to get rid of the recyclable material makes it, more than it costs to get rid of regular trash. So they're looking for avenues to get together and possible areas where we could consolidate and that kind of stuff. And they wanted info as to what we were doing. And I've sorted out through NRA and LRPC are two good contacts. Casella and Waste Management, obviously, are the two logical carriers. But on the back sheet, I basically filled out the specific questions they had reference to recycling and how we do it. And again, it's just reinforced with me that the system that was set up before I came on board is the correct way to do business. And we've made it through the highs, and we're making it through the lows and still making some money.
I read it.
To offset costs. So,
Yeah, it strikes me that the opportunity with recyclables is limited because of the quantities that we work with.
correct. That's one of the,
And so I guess if there's some opportunity, it would be for a number of communities to pool those particular materials.
well, a good example is Keene.
Right.
Keene takes from neighboring Vermont facilities and nearby towns takes their plastics 1 through 7.
Right.
They truck them into Keene. They dump them in a central location. They go through a sort process at Keene, and then Keene ships out 1s and 2s, and the towns that bring the plastic in actually pay Keene a little bit, but Keene reaps the benefits of it.
This was the concept you and I spoke about,
Right.
northern boundaries.
Right, and we talked, and you could do that with a couple of different commodities, but again, trucking is the biggest fee in the bugaboo.
Yeah.
But,
Thanks.
so is everybody in agreement with
Yeah.
sending this
Yeah.
out?
Well done. And that letter will remain a copy with the minutes, right?
Yes.
It's a matter of record.
No, that's for a record. The office has been repaired, the new windows put in, and we've completed half of the painting on the inside. Really looks nice if you get a chance to stop out and take a look at the, Rick Thompson did the construction work and did an excellent job, good materials, and Ralphie and Barry have been doing the painting, so they've done an excellent job so far inside. And
Ralph does the low areas, Barry
Barry
does
does
the
the
high
high
areas. They do a nice job, Clay. They do a nice
Yeah,
job.
and not a bad idea to keep Ralphie off the ladders.
Yeah, exactly. So that's almost done. I just wanted to update you on the CD. Remember we had the issue the last couple of years of the CD amounts and how much we charge. And I just did a spot check. We don't have the final numbers in. I just got the waste management bill yesterday afternoon. But we are spot on, and almost to the letter. The numbers are approximated, but we have collected about $6,400, $6,480 for the first 2 months of this year for construction debris items, and we've been billed $63.50. So we're pretty much spot on. That shows that we haven't had a lot of trailers in, heavy trailers, but we have had our share of dribbles over the past 2 months. So it appears like that it's spot on. And the other input to that is obviously the swap shop's closed.
Right.
And so we're not heating all the material out of there. Went down and just wanted to let you know, we visited a site. I sent an email, a copy of the email you guys should have gotten
It's in our correspondence.
in correspondence. Went down to Durham to visit their facility. And the gentleman there we visited was real nice. I can't, Donald.
In his 18th year.
Yeah. the immediate impression of the facility was it was very small, a lot smaller than ours. And they only on-site bale one commodity, and that's cardboard. That's their largest container, our largest recyclable that they have. They do have, it's different than ours, they do have their own recyclable container truck. You know, the one-armed bandit that comes up and puts the stuff in, and they do single stream recycling. And the immediate comment right out of the chute was he was complaining about the excessive cost, even more so than getting rid of solid waste, to get rid of recyclables because of the contamination.
They do 3 days a week curbside and 2 days a week take it to the transfer
Right.
station.
And so they have their own truck, recyclable truck, and they take their own material to Turnkey, which is 15 minutes down the road. So they have a roll-on truck, a roll-off truck, and they have their recyclable truck.
They take it to Harding.
And they take the stuff right.
So they must do aluminum.
So they do a little bit, but
The cans, I mean, they got the university there.
But that's a separate, whole
the
separate
university is
Oh,
separate.
they're
Yeah,
separate.
This is just the town.
the township part. And again, you know, I go to these places and look and try to find things that we can do better. And by and large, my impression has been in almost every one of these facilities that we have the right setup, we have the right material, and we're doing it more efficiently than anybody else. With the resident single, you know, multi-stream sorting and us QCing and baling and shipping, really, you're getting the most bang for the buck as far as labor. And I cordially invited him to come up and visit our facility, which hopefully he'll
He
do.
has a summer camp in Madison.
They were, and the other thing I noticed right away, well, two more things I noticed right away. One is they are going through the same process with stickers. And they are they are more strict than we are on stickers. If somebody comes in and doesn't have a sticker, no, leave. You know, out the door, politely, but out the door, you gotta go to the town office and buy the sticker at the town office, and then you can come back and dump. But they won't let them even dump, so we're probably gonna have to move towards that, because for you that all that have been up there and watched Ralphie and Bob and Carrie in action, we get a lot of, I'll get it, I'll, you know, stop down in the office and get it, and they just right out the door.
I've spoken to Clay about this, and I like his style, but he needs our support, is when the weather gets a little warmer,
Yeah.
so his guys aren't cold, and to get people in the habit for the spring rush is when people come in without the stickers, the person just walks them right down and they get the sticker, and then
Yeah, either that or he'll have the sticker right there with him.
something like that.
And you can do it. But
It's a little more user-friendly than sending them back to the town hall and we're closed.
right. But, you know, there again, they're mandatory recycling, we are not mandatory recycling. There are some differences. The other thing I noticed right away when we pulled in, and if anybody has driven over to Moultonboro in the last couple days, and gone by the school, or going by the school, they have really nice information signs that have the capability to putting 3 or 4 lines in that scroll through, you know, hazardous waste collection, May 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And right now, the sign is up near the school on the side of the road, and it's advertising voting day today, and telling them where to vote and that kind of stuff. Donald said they bought 2 of them. It was the best purchase they've they've done together with the Public Works. So they have two of them, and one the police use, and then one he uses, and it's really good for getting the word out and finding the right strategic location. The transfer station being one of them, because everybody comes up there, or most people do.
Yep.
And it's secure, so that I think it would be well worth looking into purchasing two of those. Ask him roughly what the price was, and I think he said in the neighborhood of $10,000 a piece. So while that sounds like it's a lot of money, spread out over the years and the amount of times that those things can be used, really helps. When Molten Borough used them, I think it was 2 years ago, the first time they used them for their hazardous waste collection. Hazardous waste collection shot up over 100%. Just because of those signs. And people getting the word, oh yeah. The other thing that, and the last item was they have a swap shop there, and again, totally reinforced our position. He was adamant negative about the swap shop. And they do it.
Same issues.
Same issue, exact same issues. Volunteers don't show up. People try to dump stuff out in front of the place. And while we were there, while we were talking to him, standing not 50 feet away from the facility, at least 4 or 5 trips were made with 35-gallon containers down to construction debris and dump them in construction debris. And so that leads into, they're exceeding their budget for construction debris.
While I was there, I saw them dispose of, and while you were busy with Don in the building and whatnot, I did my stakeout, and I noticed 4 instances where it's this. And wheel those containers with covers, and probably, I watched 500 pounds of stuff while Don and his people were talking to him. The other thing I noticed is that it was pretty close to an argument between someone coming in.
Yeah, they have the
Having
same issues. With
having a heated discussion, not yelling and screaming and pushing or guns or whatnot, but just unnecessary friction from my observation.
Yeah, people hawking the back of cars. And again, it was brought up that probably 80% of the material in there was on the 5th or 6th time of being recycled from yard sales.
Yeah.
And that's, we did get our annual membership to NRA back. I'll hang that up once we get some new frames to put on our nicely painted wall.
Yeah, good.
And that's it.
QC of our recyclables. I mean, we sort and bring it up there and put it in bins. You guys look it over before it goes out of here,
And as we dump it into the container,
right?
we check, especially with the aluminum, sort of tin foil for platinum, and we get a little bit.
Cat tins.
Ours is probably the, of all the outfits that do it, because a lot of them use a machine. And of course, with aluminum, you can get a lot of contamination because you get cat food cans with Teflon in it, you'll get sardine cans, you'll get tin foil, stuff that magnets won't
Right.
pick up,
Right.
end up in the aluminum and plastic bottles and that kind of stuff. For us, using the smaller trash cans, as you pour into the baler, it sticks right out at you if there's something in there. And obviously, the slower we are, the more precise we are, and we're close to, 0.0005%, where most of these outfits are 7, 8, 9% contamination. And that's what dings the market, and so it's very hard to sell our stuff, because 90% of the other people aren't doing it as precise as we are. So, but the contamination goes even further than that. You put cardboard, you put paper, you put glass, and you compact it, and now you're getting contamination of crushed glass into cardboard and paper, and so it's stuff you can't pick out.
Right.
And that's the large portion of the problems that other places are having with single stream. Because they're, like Moltenboro puts it in compactors and compacts it, and so they're gonna get contamination.
There's also the problem that plastic doesn't compact easily because it has memory.
Right, comes back.
And glass only compacts to a certain degree. So here's where, under Clay's leadership, he's removed those things to make the compacted operation much more efficient.
So,
Okay.
is that,
Any other questions for Clay?
Before Clay leaves, can I bring up another subject, Northern Boundaries? That we have some correspondence.
Sure.
Northern Boundaries is a grant, and they help us with large projects. You remember you and I meeting with Chris and Jeffrey?
yes, 2 guys from down,
Now, I'll give an overview. Northern Boundaries is a federal grant project for the 33 counties that are close to Canada, right? Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and New
Yep.
York. And you did a lot of research on a recycling building.
Right.
Being where we,
right.
and if I remember.
Yeah, they were interested very interested and wanted to support our storage facility building, and
They pay for half of it.
it was up to half, up to
Yes.
50%.
Yep.
I don't know what the current status of Northern Boundaries is, but I'm sure it's probably the same. They were interested in anything that increases jobs, infrastructure, and resources, and anything that's a do-good program. Recycling. Obviously, you get the benefits of you're going to employ more, and you're going to do good for the environment, and it's a win-win-win for everyone.
The thing that struck me is Jeff Hayes his staff helps write the grant,
Right,
and it's Lakes Region Planning that monitors the grant.
right.
What else did you, I know you had a lot of questions for both Jeff and Chris. What did you take away from?
Well, they were very eager at the time, but they couldn't. It's almost like in a current year type of thing. And it seemed like they were going to do 90% of the work. All you have to do is come forth with a business plan or a plan, and they're going to do 90% of the work to get a good amount of funding. So.
My vision is, and I'll wait until we read the correspondence, is we have these road projects and where the planning has already been done and whatnot. Maybe there's a way to fund these projects. So, but I just asked, I hit you with it only because you showed an interest in Northern Boundaries and you had some good questions.
And they're very receptive. I mean, they were very receptive and searching out opportunities to be out money.
I'm all set, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Clay.
Yep.
Thanks, Clay.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
Yep. All right. Next up is the highway update, and Jim is sick, is that right? So, no Jim today.
Really?
So,
Is it a religious objection to the flu shot? Is that what we're after here?
We have no storm tonight, too. This is,
No,
It was snowing a little this morning.
yeah, it was,
Just a dusting.
Just a little.
right,
I had a chance to read over the snow plowing
yep,
policy.
yep.
Seemed pretty clear.
Yep, I thought so as well, and it was my hope that we would be able to sit and review it with Jim.
Yeah, just to reinforce it.
Yep, and
I had about 5 or 6 things
all right,
with question marks. For example, we don't have a 6-wheel dump truck, it's a 10-wheel,
Yep.
things like that.
yep,
What's interesting is nowhere in here does it say that he gets called out once there's 3 inches of snow.
yep,
Well, he's making it, and it's gonna be different everywhere.
Exactly.
I have snow and Bill thinks it's August.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I mean, we have some different climates here in Tufton.
I didn't bring it with me, but Saturday's edition of the Daily Sun from Conway has a 2 or 3 page thing about the winter. 50.3 more inches of snow than last year. The early winter. The other several talking points are that the crews, and I've reviewed all 49 pages of bills. He gets called out, by the fire department when it's icy accident at Tufton Road Corner. Well, he can't just go back in. His crew's got to find where else is the ice conditions. And when trees come down, he has to respond. So it's more than just snow on the road. Thank you.
all right. Signature file. First item we have is an intent to cut for 33-9 and 43-3-4.
That was tabled.
And that was that last
wanted to
week.
make sure that-
Yep, and taxes are up to date on it,
Yep.
so,
I'll make a motion to sign that.
all right.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, is that the one, Karen, that they've already begun cutting? Okay, so just as a reminder to everybody, before you begin logging operations, you have to have your
Your
placard.
permission, yeah, your intent to cut,
Right,
yeah.
the intent to cut has to be signed, and and they have to post at the job site.
At least that, but they also get a certification from the DRA that it will come in after I send that to the
Right.
DRA, they send a
Right.
certification.
So, I just mentioned that as a reminder to anybody that wants to harvest timber, that there's a process you have to go through, and to comply with the law, you have to have the certificate posted before you start logging. Which means that this is an ideal time of year to harvest, but for something like this, file in December or January. Don't wait till the day you want to start, because it does take a little bit of time to.
so they get a
get
certificate
it
from
done.
DRA, and then that's what they
And
post.
and then from what I understand from DRA, if they get the selectmen's approval and at the very least post the intent, the signed intent, I understand that would be sufficient until they get the certification.
All right. Next, I have the procurement policy that we approved on March 4th with the signature block added, so that we can sign it, and I don't think we need to act on it again other than to
Sign it.
sign it.
I
And
agree with
and then
the legal points.
we've added
Nice job.
a review ticker on here, so that anybody looking at it knows that it needs to come up for review by March of 2022. All right. And then this next thing we have is, this is a grant application for Conservation Commission for something, right?
That's for
Isn't that
the
the Great Meadows?
ARM grant for the Great Meadow acquisition. So
Yeah.
if you give that that first form is to allow Steve Wingate, kind of like just exactly what you did
Right.
for Milfoil.
Right,
So
Yep.
he can sign documents.
yep, all right, so,
It's just the chair needs.
that's correct. And then the rest of this all gets signed by Steve Wingate, right?
So I'll make a motion that we have the chair sign Steve up for this.
No?
Yeah, authorize Mr. Wingate, I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
This is an authorization to sign the conservation easement.
Yes.
No, it's a
Grant.
It's a, this is, what I'm signing is a certification that says that Steve Wingate is authorized to sign the grant. This is the way DES does things. We run into it with the milfoil grants as well. So,
So DES grants,
it's a,
just one or?
this is a DES grant for, it's an ARM grant, and I don't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's in connection with money that they're providing us to help with the acquisition of a parcel going to conservation in the Great Meadow area. All right.
A particular parcel.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, this has to happen every time you do a grant.
Right.
It's not like a.
right, it's not,
For every parcel, you have to apply.
Right.
my understanding is that the grant is specific to a particular project or acquisition. It's not like, oh, give us money and we'll find some stuff to buy. Doesn't work that way. All right, and then I have an application for veterans exemption for 50-1-26. And Karen says that the applicant meets all of the criteria, right?
Yep.
So I'll entertain a motion on
I'll
that.
make a motion, we grant that application.
Second.
Sign.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That's it for the signature file.
Moving along.
Moving right along, absolutely. Selectmen's update. Boyd,
Nothing to report right now.
okay.
Clay covered it. What a nice trip to Durham.
Good.
Come to find out, Tufton Borough and Clay have been doing a lot of things right.
Yep. Chip?
Yeah, I worked on the two reviews that we had, but I guess we're gonna do that.
We're in a non-public. We will, yep.
Yes.
All right. And the one thing that I'll mention is I will be going to a commercial energy efficiency workshop on Thursday in Plymouth. That was one I was going to go to in Portsmouth last month on the day we had the big snow, and I thought, well, I'll just wait and go to the one. And maybe the weather will be better, and it looks like it will be for that.
We hope.
Well, you know,
It
it's
is what
supposed
it
to be warm all week. So So,
I see
we're
some
beginning
sap,
to,
I
beginning
see
to
some sap buckets
Yeah.
out already.
Yep, beginning to see some signs of spring, for sure. All right. So let's move on to correspondence. First, we have an invitation from Camp Belknap to a community open house for Wednesday, April 10th from 4 to 6 p.m.
4 to 6?
4 to 6 p.m. on the 10th at the Clark Lodge at Camp Belknap.
It's always a good time.
Yep, and I'm planning to attend.
Sure, let's post it.
So,
Yep.
yeah, so let's post that.
So I'll go.
We'll be there. Next is an update on swept funding activities in the legislature. It sounds like for the moment, there's nothing active, but everything that I see that comes through the email suggests that there's still some back channel talk going on about someplace else to stick it on a bill or bringing a new bill forward or whatever. So it's something that continues to.
Could I ask a question about that, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman? When I was first selectman, Tufton Borough for a number of years had a representative, and I guess it was like a lobbyist. And we actually made a donation. I'm wondering where Portsmouth area has resurrected this effort.
Right.
I'm wondering if the selectmen could find someone in town to kind of be our representative, like we do the Lakes Region Planning and some other places. What do you think about that?
So I think it makes sense for sure. And as I remember at the time, one of the selectmen was
Yes.
sort of the point person on that. That makes a lot of sense to me. And I also, if I remember correctly, there was also they hired a lobbyist.
Yes.
Right? Everybody
Right.
contributed some money into that.
And we actually had a
So-
line in our budget that we supported them for a
Yeah.
number of years.
Yeah. So I think it makes sense for us to have one of us that follows that. Do I have any volunteers?
Well, I knew that I was going to be asked to volunteer if I mentioned it. I wonder if there could be a compromise if the selectmen could recruit an alternative, someone from the community that has an expertise in it. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, let's see if we have a selectman that's interested in getting their representative, and if as a board we decide that we'd rather have somebody else do it. I mean, the advantage to having somebody on the board as representative is every
Direct
meeting we have,
information.
we're up to date on the information.
Has there been a committee formed down there by Portsmouth? I didn't understand that would happen.
Wasn't there a comment about resurrecting it?
There,
Right.
if the need
Arises.
arises. So, I haven't read that the committee has actually been resurrected at this point.
That's the coalition committee, right? That,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, I know at one point they asked me who our representative was since Carol is no longer selected, and then we didn't respond, waiting for, see what kind of issues were gonna come up.
Right.
So I think it's something that's formed, yes,
It has formed?
that's how I understand it. Or at least each town has a representative.
Yeah.
Would you like to
I'll
be the
join it.
representative?
I'll sign up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chip.
What is the name of the coalition?
Well, it's the, I don't know,
Probably long.
huh? I don't know that it actually has a,
Originally, it was donor towns.
Yes.
It was a donor town coalition,
right.
but
Is that what
I think it's,
called, or-
The name
well,
is
there
changed.
aren't any donor towns currently, so I don't think they can call themselves that. But it's the,
State real estate tax,
yeah,
that goes to schools.
the SWIFT defense.
I can find out for you, I just know it as a coalition committee.
Yep.
A lot of names out there.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly significant to the town of Tufton Borough
Yeah.
to keep an eye on that and to participate in activities to to support not draining the huge dollars from us. I mean, this year, I don't remember what it was last year,
It
but
was
it's,
1.4 million, that's what I remember.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's see here in the, where were the tax?
Tufton Borough's the highest.
No, I think
Molten
Borough's
higher than higher.
Yeah,
but
within our district.
where were the,
Yeah.
it's, where were the pages? It's got the,
Then Wolfboro.
The calculation of taxes, I think.
yeah, it's the,
Total budget.
you know, it's, I was just looking at it the other day. I apologize. All right. So the state education tax that we paid in 2018 is approximately $2.2 million. So that's the SWEP money. And if that goes to the state, then that money that currently goes to pay for local schools has to come from someplace else. And guess where someplace else is? It comes back to us. So if I understand it correctly, the 4.6 that we currently pay plus the 2.2 then becomes all the local money. And that SWEP money we're paying. So essentially we add another 2 million plus to our obligation here in town.
Right.
To,
So it shorts the school budget by $2 million. So in order to reinforce the school budget by that 2 million, we go from 6 million school tax to 8 million school tax.
I was reading something the other day, so the state collects a certain amount and they're supposed to give it back, but I don't think they do. That's why.
Yes, that's what happened with the Augenblick formula and the Claremont decision is the state of New Hampshire had a history of not funding it properly,
Might they collect it, but then it's not.
and the court case was a no-brainer.
Well, they collect this, and this goes to the state, but it all comes back.
right,
It all comes back.
That's the deal.
yeah.
So they want to keep it and then decide where it's
Yeah.
going to go.
Or maybe it doesn't actually go, we just account for it and it goes directly to.
Sure.
Yes.
It's very confusing.
But at any rate, right, the
Chip
bottom
will
line
figure
is
it out.
another two,
You'll go.
it would increase the tax in Tufton Road by about $2 million over what we're
So
paying
about
today.
30%,
Yep.
35%. somewhere.
So that's why it's a big deal.
Most towns wouldn't have any effect at all.
Well, some towns would benefit from
Yeah,
it,
some of
right?
them would,
But
not us.
not Tufton Borough. It's sort of the Robin Hood effect, you know?
Yeah. There's a lot to learn about this.
Yep.
So this is just a coalition that you would participate in to keep track.
Keep track, and the lead person on this has been attending the hearings at the State House on the Education Committee when they go through this stuff to, you know, stay on top of it and obviously influence it if they can. All right. Next in the correspondence is a friendly email from Dan Barnard on the Tufton Borough Times. And
When's that due?
that's due on March 29th, the spring edition.
It's my turn.
It's your turn, sir.
I figured it was.
Yeah, if you'd like to step up, thank you for volunteering. All right. Next, we have the Primax Risk Management Summit, May 15th and 16th at the Mount Washington Resort. If any of us are interested in attending, got all kinds of stuff in here. So, did you have a chance to look?
I didn't.
There you go. Something else for your calendar.
Wait.
Maybe. Next item we have is from the Carroll County Coalition for Public Health, the New Hampshire Harm Reduction Coalition is a program on March 25th at 6 p.m. in Concord. Maybe this is something you've participated in before locally. I don't know.
Yeah, locally, I don't know if I can do it Concord on the 25th though.
Yeah. So,
I'll check my calendar.
All right.
But I thought I had. I don't remember if that day.
so something to look at. Next item up, we have a computer that's shared by the Secretary for the Planning Board and the Conservation Commission that is acting up.
That's
Right?
the best way to say it, yeah.
That's
It has a mind of its own.
So, all right, so it's, and our, Tom recommends that it be replaced rather than trying to upgrade it. So we're
When we
talking,
had him look at those Windows 07 ones, that was one he said, wow, that's really,
yep,
yeah.
so, all right. We're talking $890 for, computer and software, is that right? Okay. And that would come,
Is it not in the budget? Is that what the problem is?
Right, we have three computers that are kind of on our tickler that Bill and I looked at, this Windows 07 thing that was discovered later. And this was one of them, so it's not budgeted for, right? But does it say Windows and stuff? I think it's, making me think of a question. No, I mean Office, I know it has Windows 10, but.
let's see. Windows 10,
You know, I probably should check into that because
yeah, would you
I
do
think
that?
that one
we need
needs
to-
new Office as well.
Yeah,
It has an old version
all
of
right.
Office, so
All
I
right, so
probably
let's,
should go back to
now
that.
let's follow up next week
Okay.
on that. And it brings to mind that we need to go back to our list again.
Yep.
I'm sort of kicking myself that we didn't do that
Well,
before
we
put-
did, there's just three now that are
All right,
problems,
but
yeah.
we didn't put one in the budget per se. I mean, I'm sure we can absorb it someplace in there, but,
That's why we have a contingency.
Well, yeah, there's three that we recently found after we were in the
Right,
for budgeting.
right.
Yeah,
all right.
so they were.
And this is a further update on
School.
the school thing, yep. All right. And then here's an email from Lakes Region Planning relative to Northern Borders Commission
That's what I was talking
grant.
about.
Yep,
I'd like to pursue that if I could.
okay. Well, I think that's fine.
Can I have a copy of that Northern Borders letter at your convenience?
Sure.
All right, yep. So, all right, so we have a letter from the governor. I don't want to read the whole thing in there, but make us aware of one investment that includes, that may be of interest, and that is $6.8 million to repair several red-listed state dams to ensure that they continue to be a fundamental resource for New Hampshire. And this includes replacement of the floodgates at the Lakeport Dam impounding Lake Winnipesaukee. So, good information, certainly, and I'm not aware that it's failing, but better to fix it before it fails
There you go.
than have to try and deal with it afterwards. All right. And then this on the clean out, we'll follow up
Yeah.
after we review some attorney correspondence. All right. I think that's all we get for correspondence. Do we have any other business? I mean,
That I know of.
we need non-public,
Yeah.
and but any other business, any public input, any
No.
questions?
I don't have it.
Gordon?
One is mechanics of how we're gonna pay bills. We still have not quite ironed out between the selectmen and the trustees and the library as far as paying our bills on an ongoing basis. Certainly for the planning portion, as we get them forward, as we move along, hopefully with the project. Who's gonna write the checks? Who do you wanna have write the checks?
I think Diane's setting up accounts for that.
Okay, I mean, because we've got a, $16,000 bill from SNP that we paid. We being the trustees paid out of our funds. Yeah, but is it gonna be a question of you want us to release money to you? Do you wanna release money to us and have Marcia pay the bills? You have to figure out how you wanna do this, and that's all.
Yep. And I know that we've had some conversation with Diane, and she's working something.
Yeah, we'll get with Diane and then.
Okay, well, I try
Yes.
to work with her and get it, a definitive answer, because I don't like to see bills sitting there unpaid because we don't know who's gonna pay them.
Right.
Exactly.
And the only other point is that tomorrow evening at town meeting, the trustees of the library would very much appreciate the support of the selectmen. When it comes time for the library vote, you have been in support of us in the project since the day one. A little vocalization on your part might be very helpful,
Yep.
so we don't just have to stand there by ourselves.
Yep.
That's all I've
That's
said.
reasonable.
Thank you.
I don't know, just let him swing out there.
Yeah. Who is this guy?
Yeah,
Didn't he used to run a hardware store?
yeah, he did one time.
Now he just plays there sometimes.
All right, so we had a good meeting,
Yep.
positive.
All right.
Do we want to take a little break while he breaks
Yeah.
down and
I'll
then
make a
reconvene?
motion to adjourn the public meeting.
Actually, I think what we
Suspend.
want to do is,
Move.
we want to, how do we take a break? What do we, I mean,
You could move to
Let's just move.
reconvene in 5 minutes or
Yeah,
something.
let's
yeah.
reconvene.
All right.
Call a recess.
Are you reconvening for non-public?
Yes, yeah. I think we're done with all of our regular public stuff for this point.
Okay, we done?
Done.
We
Thank
done.
you.